Hello, everyone, and welcome back to Losses Above Replacement, the best baseball podcast to grace your ears. I am today's host, Alex Clark, joined by our very own trade busts in Mathias Kurosaki and Splash, Ryan Splash Boss. My main man, how are we doing on this Monday morning?
You know, when I woke up, the Braves were leading 5-1, and I turned the game on. And immediately, Ronaldo Lopez allowed 2 base runners. One of them scored. Then the Padres scored 4 in the 8th, and the Braves lost. So I would like to go back to bed.
I was gonna say that you may have done that to yourself.
Yeah, I guess you're the bad luck. So I basically got to take the hat off.
I will say I'm trying to erase this weekend's events in sports from my memory because it was pretty bad. I'm not gonna lie. But I went and I raced yesterday. I'm currently sore in places I didn't know could be sore because I don't know what it is. I'm in a great deal of pain. But it's always fun to race, even if it hurts. But yeah, we're doing all right. I have a pretty cool clinic later today with former Olympian Elizabeth Beisel of the USA
Awesome.
Olympic swim team. So I'm looking forward to that. And yeah, it's finally spring. I feel like in New York. Oh, by the way, my younger nephew Hudson turns 1 tomorrow. So happy early birthday, buddy.
Happy early birthday to Hudson. I don't know how you could say it was a bad weekend in sports when the most insane news story of the sports world happened over the weekend in golf pro Scotty Scheffler getting arrested and then playing insane. In the same day and shooting a 66. I don't know how you can say it was a bad weekend in sports. That was great.
Okay, I mean that was great, but everything else wasn't.
Did you guys see the memes though?
Oh my god, the memes were off the charts.
The Moneyball meme with them trying to recreate Tiger in the aggregate with Rory and Scotty. Oh my.
Yeah, I was laughing at that.
That was
brilliant.
With all due respect to those 3 men. That was excellent.
I was laughing my butt off. It was so good. But no, I mean, I'm doing actually pretty good right now. I stepped on the scale this morning. I've lost 10 pounds over the last couple of months.
Let's go.
We take those. So I'm in a good mood for that reason. But now let's get back into sports news and sports talks. We're going to talk. There has been a whole ton of major news in baseball as of yet. Honestly, probably the biggest news has been around one of the guys we're going to talk about in this segment. So we'll start there at this as we're going to talk about trade targets right now. Normally, this is a little bit early to talk about trades. Again, the deadline isn't until I believe August 2nd this year. So at this point, why would you talk about trades in May? Well, with the trade recently that we talked about a bit ago of Luis Reyes, it's looking like it might be actually happening that there's going to be some more trades just happening early on. So we're going to talk about some trade targets, and I talked about one where there was some news about him. Here, that's one Mason Miller. And the reason why there's a little bit of news about him is with how dominant he has been. Remind me if this is still the case here, but he has a negative FIP, a negative fielding independent.
Yeah, he's broken analytics.
He is absolutely broken, and it's amazing to watch. Actually giving Oakland a lot of hope in a lot of ways, but he is one of the most dynamic arms that we have ever seen, I think. One of the things that just sucked about the Mariners and Oakland series was that we didn't get to see Miller pitch as much as I wanted to see it. I also didn't want to see him pitch because that meant that the Mariners would be losing. But at the same time, he has been one of the most dynamic arms. He has a lot of club control left. Do we think that he's actually going to be a trade target at this point? I know a lot of teams have inquired about him. Does Oakland actually outright deal him?
Absolutely not.
I can't see this happening.
Absolutely not. Listen, I know they're the A's. I get it. But this is the classic case that this trade makes 0 sense for anyone because from a prospect capital, right? You look at Mason Miller and you look at the profile and you ask yourself several questions. Is he a reliever moving forward or a starter moving forward? Okay, he's a reliever. And he has all the time of control left. He's considered a rookie, I believe, rookie eligible. I think the Baseball Reference website has it the opposite way. But It's considered a rookie, whatever. He's very early in his service time. That's the point. So you are paying a lot of prospect capital for a reliever with a long history of injuries. He missed a lot of last season with an injury. And you're asking a team to part ways with one of their top prospects for a almost guaranteed reliever lock because Mason Miller's arm's going to fall off. I don't see the trade. He's incredibly valuable. If you had him on your team, you would, if the Orioles, for example, could swap. Kobe Mayo just broke his ribs diving into the dugout, by the way.
Bizarre injury.
Get one of the guys that looks like vaguely similar to each other, trade them to Oakland, and get Mason Miller. Yeah, the Orioles probably would be the best team in the American League for sure there, and might be the best team in baseball next to the Dodgers if they didn't have Craig Kimbrell and co closing games down. Now, granted, they have Felix Bautista, so their fans are kind of hot and cold on the idea of adding Mason Miller, but I don't see a trade coming to fruition. To me, this is the other end of the time span, but this would be like if the Red Sox traded David Ortiz in his 2016 season. He's retiring at the end of the year, so you're only going to get him for 3 months. So how do you even value that? Because you're going to get a great player, but how do you value the prospect capital? Like if you're the Orioles, you're not going to send Jackson Holiday, you're not going to send probably 2-3. You're not going to send Samuel Basallo. You're like, oh, this guy's a reliever, and he might blow up. And listen, all pitchers might blow up, but Mason Miller is predisposed to blowing up in the health sense, not the bad outing sense. So I don't see it. I understand people want him on their team. I would too. Is he better than Raisel Iglesias? Yes. But I don't know what the Braves would trade. I don't know what Alex Anthopoulos, if he he might be blocked by Oakland's general manager, by the way, or Povo. But I don't know. How do you trade for such a weird asset? But weird asset.
Yeah. So the thing is that I think this is going to be one of those cases where we get towards the summer and, we keep hearing rumors Mason Miller is on the trade block, or, teams are inquiring on Mason Miller and he doesn't actually get moved. Because to your point about relievers, I witnessed this in after the 2018 season when, the Mets traded for Edwin Diaz at the height of his value. And that's the thing, is that the Mariners were already in sell mode. I believe by that point they had already traded James Paxton. It was clear they were selling off entirely. But Diaz didn't have as many years of control as Miller. Miller has 6 years of control right now. And yes, I'll say this much though, is that one, it's the A's, and two, we thought the A's maybe had a shot, after their decent start, but they've lost 8 in a row, and Miller's only pitched 4 times in the month of May. So the A's are not contending this year, but I don't think trading a guy with 6 years of control is the right move necessarily. Yes, they could probably get a king's ransom back, but it's, how much major league talent are you going to get back, first of all? And are you going to set yourself back even further? Because yes, he's a reliever, but still, he's a guy who he could be your closer for the next 5-6 years and help you get back into contention. I think you're sort of setting yourself back if you make this move. And to your point, Splash, about, trading for a guy like Miller, you're going to have to give up a king's ransom. If you're the Orioles, you're probably giving up at least 1, if not 2, of Kobe Mayo and Heston Kjerstad. Maybe one of the arms in the system too. If you're the Braves, I guess the Braves don't have a ton of depth in their organization, but the A's might want Waldrop, which is an unrealistic ask in my opinion. The Phillies, I know, have a glaring hole in their bullpen. It's like their one weakness right now. The Phillies would probably have to give up a guy like Justin Crawford or potentially an Andrew Painter. I know he's coming back from an injury, or a Mick Abel even. It's just the ask on the A's end is going to be too much, and it doesn't quite make sense for the A's to trade a guy with all that control.
Yeah,
you want to compete eventually.
Well, that's the thing, is because right now, I think that you don't trade him for that purpose. Is that right? They're going to be moving to Vegas pretty soon, right? And I think what they see in Miller is they see their closer of the future. As long as, of course, he could stay healthy, knock on wood. But at the same time, like, kind of echoing your sentiments here, right? He has only played legitimately 25 games in Major League Baseball, right? 15 of those games are this year. Currently, again, he pitched last year, again, 10 games, had an ERA plus of 112, so, a little bit above average. This year right now is at 418. That is not sustainable. I'm sorry. It's just not. And with how he's pitching right now, don't get me wrong. Yeah, if you are to sell him, now would be the time because the value is at the absolute highest that I think it possibly could be. But like you said earlier, Splash, like nobody wins in that way. Because if you like the team that trades for him, you have a huge risk and you know that you overpaid for it. Because at that point, yes, you're getting a very good pitcher. But at the same time, you're also giving away a lot of other futures for one that is, again, a risk. Yes, a lot of controllable risk, but a risk nonetheless. And then if you're Oakland you're getting a lot of prospects that you've known that you're pretty good at developing prospects. But at the same time, one, not a lot of players want to play for Oakland right now. And two, they would need to be Major League ready probably in about 2 years' time. Maybe one at that point if you're lucky. So then they're ready for the move to Las Vegas because I can see the team really going heavy when you get to Vegas. Because at that point, now you need to be bringing in that market. Doing it right now is not the play to try and build competitively. So at that point, you probably should keep Miller at this point. Let him keep going here. If he implodes on you, then you know what? It happens. But I think that the risk is just too big for any team to want to take that shot on him because of how much it's going to cost, right? It's basically like you go to like Sears or you go to like Nordstrom's, right? And you see this amazing piece out there, but you know it's going to be on sale later on. You don't buy it then. You buy it then. So you don't buy it at that moment. You wait until the sale comes on.
Yeah, trading for relievers is such a fickle thing, and we see it every year. Last year we saw David Robertson get dealt, and we've seen Aroldis Chapman get dealt, and we've seen several
Josh
times.
Hader.
Actually. Josh Hader got dealt, and it's just always it's sort of like box of chocolatesy, that you think you're going to get this, stud reliever, or you might think you're getting like a seventh inning guy. I remember when the Braves traded for Richard Rodriguez, and that was the guy I was excited about. I was excited, like, yeah, we got a good reliever coming in. The outfielders are kind of mid, so just fill-ins. And then he doesn't even make the playoff roster. He doesn't make the World Series roster. And Soler and Rosario win playoff MVPs. It's just a weird thing. And I think if you're making a trade, I'll use Baltimore as an example. If you're Elias and you're A's, I'm blanking on their GM, but if you're that conversation, I don't know where the middle ground is, because if you're the Orioles, you don't want to part with Holiday, Basayo, or any of their major league guys. You don't want to part with any of your like core guys. And I know they have incredible hitting depth, but still, you might think you can get more than a reliever, right? And a reliever that's only been good, quote unquote, if you're not listening or if you're not watching, air quotes there, that's been good for 6 weeks, right? That is a tall proposition. But if you're the A's, you're like, you got to give us one of the Holiday, Basayo. You got to give us one of the top 100 guys. Mm-hmm. And the Orioles have plenty. The Cubs have plenty. The Rockies have plenty. Well, the Rockies wouldn't trade for him. Cubs, that would be fascinating.
Yeah,
with their bullpen struggles as well.
Well, I remember, though, when the Cubs dealt for Wade Davis after the 2016 season because Chapman was leaving, and they had to give up Jorge Soler to get Davis. Granted, Davis was an established big league arm who, won the World Series and had helped the Royals, become relevant again. But I remember my brother commenting on this back when that trade was made, saying that, relievers can kind of get overvalued. Yep. Because they're guys, they come in, they pitch like, 1, maybe 2 innings, and you end up having to trade either a major league ready guy or one of your best prospects for a reliever. And that's not to say relievers can't be good, but they're also incredibly volatile. So like,
and you're not trading for the Lopez, or I guess Jordan Hicks got traded last year, but you're not trading for a guy to have him be a reliever for a year and then turn him into a starter. Right. Maybe he turns into a starter down the line, but that's not a thing teams do. Maybe they should like look to target those market inefficiencies, and you look to trade for there's so many relievers that have transitioned this year, Hicks and Puck, and he went back though, Raylo, etc. But you're not trading for a guy to do that. You're trading for him to pitch 20 innings in your stretch run and help you make the playoffs.
It's such an odd catch-22. Because at this point, like, you need it. We talk about a lot on this show about how important having a solid bullpen is. We talk about how important having, a good high leverage guy is. And so that you have to do something. If you don't have a bullpen, you are in trouble. Like, we take a look, that's been one of the main consistents of a lot of the World Series teams as of late, is having good back-end bullpen help. But the problem is, like we're saying, you need it. It is so hard to acquire because you can take the gamble on getting one, but you don't know if he's going to falter, and that makes your bullpen even worse, and now you're down a prospect. It really is a gamble. And that's why it really comes down to the scouts really doing their jobs on seeing, can this guy succeed with the limited sample size that we've seen? And Mason Miller is a perfect example of that. He has pitched in 25 games, a career 52 and a two-thirds innings. And over that time, don't get me wrong, he's been very, very good. But that's 25 games. That is 52 and two-thirds innings pitched. And if you're going to give up a future, like say, like, again, bring up, you said the Orioles earlier, a Jackson Holiday for that is putting your entire thing on red in a game of roulettes. It could work. It could go great. Or you could walk out, needing a meal voucher. So with that being said, let's move on to our next trade target here, and let's keep it. Let's see here. Let's go to an interesting one here. Let's go to one that was traded a while back ago, one of the most head-scratching trades of all time here. That is one Nolan Arenado. Here, on the year so far, Nolan Arenado has a half a WAR to his name on the season. Is batting right now about 276 here, an OPS right at average, about 105. So, and the other interesting bit with this, is that he has a full no trade clause. So, he's still a good defensive third baseman. He can still hit the ball here, but that no trade clause has got to be a little bit worrisome for teams, right?
I think the thing that's more worrisome, in my opinion, is the contract, because the no trade clause, I realistically can see Arenado waiving his no trade clause to play for a contender. Because to be completely honest, I don't think the Cardinals are heading in the right direction. I can see them trading a bunch of guys, including Arenado and Goldschmidt and Sonny Gray. The thing is that he's getting paid. So he's got $35 million this year, $32 million the following year, $27 million the following year, and then an additional $15 million in 2027. So the contract for a guy who has a 711 OPS right now, which is the lowest mark he's had since his rookie year back in 2013, which was 706. It's a 105 OPS plus. He only has 3 homers this year, which this is a guy who you routinely expect at least 30 homers from. He had 26 last year, which was a down year for him. I could see him getting moved, but I do not see the Cardinals getting a good return for him, which makes me wonder, do they even try to trade him? So I can definitely see that no trade clause going. I know this is a guy who does not like losing, which is why he wanted to get traded from the Rockies. Cardinals are not going to contend this year, straight up. I know the National League is weak this year. They're technically within shouting distance, just like the Mets, and just like the Pirates. But I could see him getting moved. I'm not going to say he is going to get moved, but don't be shocked if you see Arenado get moved and the Cardinals get a rather underwhelming return.
That's exactly what I was thinking here on this bit, is that right now, looking at what he's doing at the moment, like, he's good, don't get me wrong, but you also have to, kind of understand that you're going after a 33-year-old third baseman worth a pretty sizable chunk of change here, and you have to then give up more on top of that here in order to get him. So
also, there's
point,
there's like a decent amount of blue on his Statcast page, which is not a good sign.
Yeah, no, 100%. So at that point, like, if a team is willing to make a deal for him, I think that you have to give up a pretty high level prospect, but you would also be asking the Cardinals to eat some of the salary. You would have to, because I don't think any other team wants to take on $30+ million and lose a prospect for a guy that, yes, is more proven, but has been on a downturn for the last year or so.
This is a strange one, of course, and he's at the top, near the top of the National League in salary, and he's just not really the same player. Since 2020, he has a 119 OPS plus, and that's fine, but it's trending down, and that's really buoyed by the elite 2022 season that he finished third in MVP voting and led the league in WAR. And he's not quite as good as he has been defensively, and he just turned 33, and he's just been around a long time. This is not like some, young player that you think you're the best is yet to come. This is an older player that you're trying to rekindle that one last great season, that one last 3,100 season that he had seemingly every year in Colorado. So I don't see a whole lot of value in Arenado as an asset here. And I agree with Mac that I don't think the return this would kind of be like crap on your face if you're the Cardinals, that you won the trade to get Arenado in, but you'd have to give him up for like maybe not even a mid-tier prospect. We're talking probably
it could even be a player to be named later at this rate.
Yeah,
if I'm being completely honest.
I don't think they go down that far personally.
Maybe not that far, but I think maybe like a lower level prospect, like a guy who, I don't know, in the teens for a lot of teams, or the 20s if you're a deeper organization, like if you're Baltimore or Chicago. He's not going to get traded to the Cubs, I know that, but like the Dodgers, for example, who Arenado probably would want to go play, where Arenado would probably want to go play. That's a situation the Dodgers wouldn't have to give up their top of the line guys. They probably wouldn't have to give up an Andy Pages type, who's a major league ready guy, or any one of their pitchers. And the Cardinals are in a weird spot because they have all of the hitters. They just are, all their young hitters suck for some unknown reason. The Cardinals' devil magic has run out. We are all rejoicing. We being Mac and I. So it's just like Jordan Walker is stinking it up in AAA, and he stunk it up in AAA last year. Nolan Gorman not taking the steps you want him to take. Alec Burleson not taking the steps you want him to take. Victor Scott was like the worst player in the majors this season. It's just not a great situation to be in. And then the pitching staff is the other end of the spectrum, that they're all like 45 years old. And Sonny Gray has been very good this season, but I was reading a tweet this year, and like the Cardinals don't have a number 5 starter. They have 3 number 5 starters. That's a problem. You have Sonny Gray and then 3 number 5s, and then you don't have a legitimate number 5. It's just the Cardinals are, if you are making a power ranking and you are taking a guess at how these teams are going to be ranked in 2026 or 2027, the Cardinals might be the very bottom of the list. Maybe the White Sox, but at least the Marlins, we know they can develop pitching. The A's, we know they're the A's, right? The Cardinals have nothing going for them right now. Even their promising guys have underperformed. So I don't think they'd get too much from an Arenado trade, and that might be a case of he's past the point of no return, because you're not going to trade him for a player to be named later, and you don't want an underwhelming return. He was an all-star last season. Now, all-star name, his season wasn't that great, but he's a future Hall of Famer. You don't want to trade an 8-time all-star, 10-time Gold Glover, future Hall of Famer for like peanuts on the dollar here.
Mm-hmm. And that's kind of the main issue on this, right, is that Arenado is worth more as his name than really anything else, right? Like Arenado as a name right now, like you said, he's gonna be a Hall of Famer probably. Like I don't think that's even a probably. I think that's about as guaranteed as you can get. But at the same time, like I almost think, like, don't get me wrong, I don't think he actually does this, right? But if he is legitimately traded for player to be named later on stuff like that, I almost think he blocks that out of spite. I'm just like, is my value really that of a player to be named later?
I mean, look at the return that the Rockies got for trading him, though. And it was the best player, I guess, in that deal was Austin Gomber. With all due respect to Austin Gomber, he got traded for a future Hall of Famer plus $50 million. Like, I don't know what that deal is. The other thing is that the Cardinals I could see the Cardinals eating some salary to get a better return. That being said, then you're paying a guy who's not even on your team like half of its. I mean, I know that's what the Mets did last year with Scherzer and Verlander was they ate some salary to get better players.
Okay,
I could see St. Louis doing that.
I pause. We have to put some respect on Austin Gomber's name. He has 2 WAR right now, a 3.02 ERA. He's been balling out this year.
But at the time though, that deal was like
his FIP is ugly though. That okay, yeah, 4.83 FIP. Ooh, dear.
Oh, that's quite the difference.
Yeah. Okay. Regression candidate, anyone?
Anyway, with that being said, here, like, let me ask you one last question before we move on to our next player here. Do you think that Arenado gets traded before the deadline? Just a simple yes or no.
Nope.
No.
Okay, I'm on the same train. I don't think it gets traded. So let's move on to our next guy here. Then the last one we're going to talk about here when it comes to trade targets, and it is one that has had a pretty storied career overall. Not necessarily in the greatest sense, but one that has been overseas, one that has played back here and is doing well right now, and that's Erick Fedde. Erick Fedde right now on this season has a 2.3 WAR here with a 2.60 ERA here, playing for the White Sox, who are 100% going to be selling at the deadline here, considering where the position is at the moment. Fellas, what do you see from Fedde? He has had a very interesting career. What do you make of it? Do you think he gets dealt?
100%. I think he gets dealt because the White Sox are not contending this year at all. I mean, that's the thing is the Cardinals, there's like a small chance they contend. The White Sox, there is absolutely zero chance they're contending this year. They're not contending next year. They're probably not contending the year after that. The White Sox get a pretty penny for Fedde. He's on an affordable deal. It feels like every contender needs pitching at the deadline. You can never have too much pitching. He's 2.60 ERA. All right, maybe he's not as good as that number shows. His expected ERA is 3.47. His FIP is even higher than that. But still, he's a solid mid to back rotation arm, I think. His one issue is home runs, but 8.7 strikeouts per 9. That's the highest rate he's had in his career, other than his brief cup of coffee in 2017. Only 14 walks to 50 strikeouts. It's a solid 3.57 strikeout to walk ratio. I think every contender could use a guy like Fedde, and the White Sox could probably get a solid return for him, especially given that he's only making $5 million a year.
Yeah, I think give full credit here to the White Sox front office for bringing in Erick Fedde, knowing in all likelihood they weren't going to contend, and saying, okay, we're going to bolster the farm system a little bit and potentially, get your lottery tickets, and just load up your team with, late 20s, early 30s veteran types that if they have a good week, a good month, a good 6-week stretch, they can get dealt and they can bring in a couple assets. They're not going to be these high value assets, but you might get an asset. So, Fedde's been very good this season. The strikeouts have been ebbs and flows. I remember betting the under 3.5, and that was not a sweat against Cleveland. That is a shocker in the modern era. But, he's pitched deep into games. He pitched 7 innings of scoreless ball against Washington his last time out. He's actually on the bump today, Monday. We're recording. He pitched 6 innings of scoreless ball against Cleveland. The White Sox have won his last 4 starts, believe it or not. And the start before that was when the Twins were The Twins just came to town and wrecked shop, but he allowed 1 run over 6 innings, struck out 11 Twins. So he's on a roll. The White Sox are on a roll when he pitches. So he's 4-0 for a team that is garbage. Wins and losses to me don't matter for pitchers, and they can be heavily skewed. But if you care about wins, Eric Fetty has been racking up the W's.
Yeah, the team is 14-33. Actually, being 4-0, as little as I value the win-loss statistic for pitchers, being 4-0 on a team that's 14-33 is wildly.
That's actually insane.
We have Steve Carlton in the flesh right here.
Yeah, literally
from the right side. That's crazy.
Oh man, that is absolutely insane. But yeah, no, I will. I'll chime in on this. Yeah, this is an absolute perfect trade target for someone. Like everything you guys have said at this point, like pitching is something you can never have enough. Starting pitching, especially so. And even with starters, you can move them to the bullpen if you need to. So that's what kind of like validates a little bit more of the bullpen argument we had earlier here. And take a look at what he's done. Yes, you are definitely going to be paying for another risk because he is one that is coming up and doing great this year. But you take a look at the rest of his career in the major leagues, he has not had an ERA of under 4.2 even in his entire career. But again, ERA has its ups and downs. I understand that here. One side that's a little better to see at this point, ERA plus. And I would like you guys to take a guess how many seasons he has of an ERA plus above 100.
0.
1.
He has 1. And that number is in 2020, that season, where he had a 104.
Oh, yeah, of course, ERA the plus. COVID year.
Although, to be fair, the year before 2019, he had an ERA plus of exactly 100. So that was being a little bit mean.
And he had huge FIP disparities in those seasons, so he kind of got a little lucky. Yeah. He just didn't strike any out and walked the whole house. It's like you can't do both.
Yeah. To give you kind of a fun idea on this, the season that he had his best ERA plus is also the season where he had his second worst FIP at 6.15. His worst FIP came in the 2017 season, where he had a 49 ERA plus and a FIP of 7.20.
So it's not good. It's not good. I know he retooled his stuff in Korea, and I massive respect for that. 100%. Failed prospect turned into an ace in Korea. I believe he won the equivalent to the Cy Young. I could be wrong on that.
He did, yes.
But in fair play, he's back in the majors and pitching at a higher level than he ever had. So massive respect there. He actually has better strikeout stuff than he's ever had before. So I did kind of misspeak, and he has better command. His fastball still stinks. Every time I listen to not effectively wild rates and barrels, Saris takes a dump on his fastball, which I respect the bit, but yeah, just I don't know. He's probably a number 3 or number 4. Is he okay? I'll ask a question, then I'll shut up. Is Eric Fetty a starter game 3 of the LDS?
No.
Depends on what team he's on. That's the thing.
Okay,
I was gonna say it's very much going to depend on the team.
I could see if the Rangers are in the ALDS, I think 100% Fetty starts game 3 for them. They have no starting pitching depth. That being said, I don't know if any other playoff team would start him in game 3. He probably gets moved to the bullpen for the playoffs.
Yeah, 100%.
Okay.
Does he start on my Mariners, he doesn't even crack the LCS.
Would he be the number 4 option for a team?
Potentially.
I could see it.
I can see that.
Okay. So he's a 3 to a 4.
Again, but yeah.
Okay. Will the Mariners make the playoffs first?
Yes. Well, I mean, they're first place right now. So
yeah, they're leading the division.
Mm-hmm. Okay. They are leading the division. You can't despite that fact.
Will they lead the division on October 1st?
We're making it happen, boys.
I can see it.
Honestly, here's the thing. I can see it. Just can the bats keep staying healthy? And speaking of the Mariners bats staying healthy, we'll actually get to that in just a second here. But let us know what you guys think about these trade targets. Do you disagree with what we're saying? Do you agree? Are there other trade targets you would like to hear us talk about? Make sure to go follow us on Twitter at LAR_baseball and let us know who you would like us to talk about when it comes to that. So, like I said, talked about the Mariners offense needing to heat up. Well, we're going to talk about a little buy or sell right now. Yeah, do you buy what these players are doing, or do you think it's going to change? So buy or sell. We're going to start out with a Mariner then. Well, a guy that I really want to talk about is one Josh Rojas. Josh Rojas has made a mission, in my opinion, to take everyone that is saying that the Mariners offense is bad and saying, hold my beer. Because he has been absolutely insane this year. For a guy that has a career 257 batting average and all that fun stuff, he has put the team's offense on his back, having an absolutely incredible year so far. Right now, he has an OPS of 811, a batting average over 300. Right now, 301, and it was a lot higher earlier. Again, there was at one point where that batting average was at 357. And on top of it, though, an OPS plus of 138 here. And has been arguably one of the most consistent hitters in the American League West. I mean, like, consistency-wise, he has come through in a lot of big scenarios. He's been playing out of his mind, where a lot of people thought he doesn't even deserve a roster spot. And now he's being in even to hit against lefties. So at this point right now, do you think that what we're seeing from Rojas is what is going to continue happening, at least to a nominal degree, or are you saying that he's going to fall apart sometime soon?
Alex, I'm selling all of the Josh Rojas stock. He is in a bit of a cold spell right now. He has one hit in his last 5 games. He doesn't have a multi-hit game since May 10th in that game against a decrepit Oakland team. We can call them decrepit now. He doesn't have an extra base hit since May 5th. He had 2 in one game, May 5th. His OPS on that day, May 5th, was 1.029. That's great. It's dropped over 200 points in 2 weeks. And I know we're in May, and I know stats can fluctuate like that. But since May 5th, over the last 14 days, as we're heading into this podcast recording, he just has been – it's been a struggle bus. And I can buy that he was a good major leaguer for a month, right? A month plus even, a month and a week. I can buy that. But then they move him up to the leadoff spot. He has 3 hits and then 3 hits with 2 extra base hits, drives in a run. And since then, it's been a whole lot of strikeouts. Average Mariner moment right there. He's drawn 3 walks in this span. His batting average has dropped by 59 points. His on base has dropped by 70 points. And it's just, he has a negative win probability added in all but 3 games in the last 2 weeks. And there's just, I'm looking, Alex, you're kind of looking at the tree here. I'm looking at the whole forest. Josh Rojas has not been a great major leaguer. I do not anticipate him being a great major leaguer. Last 12 games, 16 strikeouts, a 208, 255, 208 slash for a 463 slug, negative 4.16 WPA. Just not a great player. And the BABIP's 313, so it's not like he's getting extremely unlucky on his batted balls. It's just he is striking out a lot. He is not helping you on the base paths. He's a perfectly fine defender. I don't know what the metrics have him as this year, but he was a B grade defender for a while in Arizona. But I don't see it moving forward.
Yeah, I'm going to say he's probably somewhere in between where he was to start the year and where he is right now. I think Josh Rojas is a fine big leaguer. He's versatile. He can hit a little bit. His batted ball data is like the best it's been in his career, other than his brief cup of coffee in 2019. But, like Slash was saying, he's 1 for his last 18. You've seen him come back to earth. The 370 BABIP on the season indicates he got kind of lucky, but expected batting average of 270, that's kind of where I expect his batting average to be for the season. His expected slugging of 449. Again, I feel like that's kind of realistic. I think he's going to start playing more to those expected numbers than to what his surface numbers are right now, because he's definitely not a guy who's going to hit 360. I'll tell you that much. I also don't think he's a guy who will hit 200. So I think if you could get him to hit around 270 with an OPS somewhere between 700 and 800, that's as advertised. The Mariners did not trade for him thinking he was going to be, prime Ichiro or prime Babe Ruth or prime Ken Griffey Jr. or whatever. So I'll sell on him maintaining this 300 average or 811 OPS, but I'll buy that he's better than, the 200 he's hitting this month.
Yeah, I'm not going to full on buy that he's going to be, prime Ken Griffey Jr., but I will buy that he's going to be one of the top averaging hitters on the Mariner team right now.
That's a different conversation.
I know, I understand. But I also think that he is better than what you are bringing up here, Splash. I think that, yes, he has had a stretch over the last couple of weeks that has been not great, 100%. Mm-hmm. I'll say that. But I'm also looking at you're saying that I'm looking at the tree and you're looking at the forest. You're looking at the tree of only being the last couple weeks. I'm looking
at his entire career, and I'm looking at a 257, 332, 375 guy with a career.
I understand.
OPS plus.
Okay, that's fair. That is fair.
I think he'll be an average big leaguer the rest of the season, maybe a touch below average, and you get back to like a reasonable Josh Rojas season. I think he's going to be perfectly adequate at third or second, or if they want to play him at short, he can play short a little bit. They've had him in left field. He's even pitched. I don't know what the Mariners want to do with him, but he can play both positions. There's value in that. There's value in being like a 90 to 100 OPS plus guy. That's where I think he'll be. He might end up a little higher because he had such a hot start to the season. I would bet money that he's between a 95 and a 107 OPS plus at the end of the season.
I can see that. Yep.
I would make that bet with you. I would say that he goes higher than that.
Okay.
And we'll have this as
the over under is 106.5.
Yep, 106.5. Yeah, that's
right. 106.5. Yeah, sounds cool.
All right, we'll make
Mac,
that
what
happen.
side would you be on?
What's that?
Mac, what side would you be on?
I think 106 is about where you top out at.
Okay. So you're gonna go.
Okay.
I'm going with the under. Yeah.
Okay, cool. I'll be happy to take.
I'm going to tweet that out. Live tweeting.
Okay, but we also haven't made the terms of the bet either, though.
Oh, that's a good point. We will. Those are to be determined, but I will.
Before we tweet it out, let's at least we'll agree on the terms.
I will put it in the drafts.
Camera. Put it in the drafts. Yep, there we go. Sounds good. Anyway, we'll move on to our next guy here, and we talked a bit about relievers becoming starters becoming relievers. Let's talk about another one of those guys. Mr. Jordan Hicks. Jordan Hicks on the season so far has been a lot better than advertised. Again, he came into the season being a closer, being one of the most flamethrower type closers out there. Again, his cards in MLB The Show have always been very glitchy, but excuse me there. When they said that they were going to transition him to being a starter, I'm like, why? Okay, sure. And he has been doing pretty well. I mean, so far right now, he has started 10 full games already. An ERA of 2.38 is awesome. As well as an ERA plus right now at 164, which, by the way, matches his 2013 total with Toronto at 164. So, guys, are you buying or selling that right now Hicks is going to be a good starter for the rest of the season?
I am going to buy Hicks. I'm not going to buy the concept as a whole. I know we've had some positives.
I'm going to read this.
Ronaldo Lopez, but there's ebbs and flows here, and I think Hicks is a good player to turn into this because he has more than one pitch and he has velocity to give up, if you will. Same with Ronaldo Lopez. That if you were a reliever that's touching 100, or in Hicks' case, way over 100, you can dial back 6 miles per hour and still be effective. That's great. And I give a lot of credit to Hicks. He's dropped his walk rate. It's a career low 2.9 walks per 9. His strikeout rate is way down. That's not great, but he doesn't allow many homers. He's never allowed many home runs in his career. And he's, pitching well. And it's a pitcher-friendly ballpark. And there's a reasonable defense behind him with Ahmed and Estrada and Chapman. So, as bad as the Giants might be performing, I think they're still going to be reasonable defensively. And I think, and you're not asking Hicks to be your number one because that's Logan Webb. And you're not, in theory, not going to ask him to be your number two because you have Blake Snell. Blake Snell's been on his own odyssey this season. But Hicks, to me, is in the perfect spot to be a 3 or a 4 in a Giants rotation. It's pretty good. And they have a pretty good bullpen, in theory, pretty good rotation, not necessarily in practice. But, I have a tremendous amount of respect for how well Hicks has adjusted to his role, and Ronaldo Lopez has adjusted to his role, and other guys. AJ Puck, not cut out to be a starter, at least at this point in time. Sixto Sanchez, not cut out to be a starter at this point in time. So I'm buying Jordan Hicks. I think he's an incredibly talented player, and I'm excited to see him move. I'm excited to see his next 100 innings. The concept as a whole, you have to have the right pitcher. You have to have there's a mindset you have to have that's different being a reliever and a starter. And as a reliever, you're emptying the clip, right? Jordan Hicks is throwing 102, throwing 103. Well, now he's, higher 90s, and he still has to get outs, and he has to know. I was listening to Rates and Barrels, and Trevor May's like, I'm in a wiffle ball league now, and I can't throw 80. I have to throw 60. Well, he has to know I cannot throw 100 most of the time. Maybe I can pump it here and there if I need it in a key spot, but that's a huge shift when the last 5 years of his life is 100, 102, 102, 101, 103, and he's throwing craziness. Everything has movement. That's what makes Hicks very special in that way. But I'm buying Hicks. I'm selling a little bit of my reliever starter stock, though.
So I'm going to buy that he's an effective starter because he has way exceeded my expectations. To Splash's point, he's adjusted his arsenal. He started throwing a splitter, a sweeper more. His fastball, instead of averaging 100, it's averaging 95 this year. So I'm buying that he's a good pitcher. I'm selling on the 2.3 ERA right now. His expected ERA is 3.7. His expected FIP is 3.99. I think you're probably looking at a guy, mid-3 ERA guy, throws around 160, 170 innings. I will say him averaging over 5 innings per start is huge for a guy who I've always seen as like a short reliever. I remember when he came straight from A-ball to the majors, he was throwing absolute gas, throwing 105. I think, he's a solid big league starter. I don't think he's an ace, but I think he can stick in a major league rotation. And major credit to him for proving me wrong because I had no clue what the Giants were doing trying to make him start.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I had no idea what they were doing either on it, but it's worked out pretty well so far. I'm going to buy on him, like you're saying here, being an effective starter. Here, I don't think he's going to keep it where he's at, so I'll sell there. I also, kind of like what you were saying there, Splash, I am not usually the biggest fan of taking a reliever and making them a starter. I'm more of the opposite, or of taking a starter and making them a reliever for the same kind of reasons here. He's a guy that can absolutely blow you away with miles per hour, with velocity, and now you have to turn it down a bit to be a starter. And so far, effectively, to give him credit, he's done that. Done that pretty darn well. Like, he's been managing his pitches pretty darn well so far. An ERA plus right now of 164 has been good. He's already struck out 40 batters in that time and allowed only 3 homers. But at the same time, like, I don't think it's going to continue as much. I think what we're seeing here is potentially a little bit more of the, I don't want to say beginner luck, because that's not the term here. The term that I kind of want to go with on this is just that batters are now seeing what a new Jordan Hicks is doing. One that's not just blowing amazing velocity by you. It's now slower. It's slightly slower. Still very, very fast, mind you. Mm-hmm. But with better pitches and all that, I think you give it another month and the scouting report's going to be out on him a little bit more. And the numbers are going to go up a little bit more. I think he's still going to be a very effective starter here, but not at the same level as, he's doing right now.
I do think his stuff will play. I think the movement on his pitches, and I think he's been a guy that at times, he had an ERA over 5 in 2021, an ERA close to 5 in 2022. Then he was very good last season, even better with Toronto. And I think he's made tremendous strides as a pitcher. And I think that, being a starter at 27 is a little bit different from being a starter at, trying to be a starter early in his career. I forget what year it was, but the Cardinals were trying to make him a starter. 2022, he made 8 starts.
I remember that.
So that didn't go particularly well. But now I think it's going well. And like I said, you have a good defense, and I think his style of pitching is conducive to Oracle Park, and it's conducive to his teammates, the Chapmans and the Ahmeds and the Estradas of the world. I think that's a good match. I think similar to Logan Webb, and I think he will be a guy that does outperform his FIP, and a guy that can outperform his xFIP and his expected ERA, because I don't think he's going to allow many home runs. And I know he doesn't strike many guys out, but a lot of those ground balls, these are major league defenders. they're going to make plays.
Yeah, I agree with that as well. So let us know what you guys think here as we get. First off, let us know what you guys think. Would you buy or sell on any of these three as well? Also, keep in touch for our tweets to lay out the bet between Splash and I and Mac about Josh Rojas on the season. But now it's time for everybody's. It's time for everyone's favorite segment here, and it is time for trivia, which I will be hosting this time round here. And I'm doing, and again, I apologize, Splash here. Originally, it was going to be Splash hosting.
Yeah.
I have an idea that what's up?
I got punked.
You did. No, 100%. But no, I've had this idea for a while here, and I'm like, all right, I'm just going to do it because otherwise I'm going to forget about it. And your idea is that your one, from what I know of what it would be, can be worked next week, and I want to have this ready for next week.
Sure.
That's fine.
Just remind me, I have the spreadsheet for it.
Gotcha. Okay, so I'm going to take an adaptation of one that Mac does of who he play for.
Oh, let's go.
I am having an adaptation called Can You Play Him?
Oh, boy.
I'm a video gamer. You guys are video gamers. And there have been a lot of really fun cameos in baseball games. Or just players that you forgot, oh, wait, I can play as him in this. So I have with me 7 games and 7 names. You guys are going to go one at a time, and I'm going to give you a game and a player.
This is amazing.
You got to tell me whether or not you can play as him in that game.
This is going to go amazing.
Okay, are these baseball games and non-baseball players?
Okay, these are baseball games and baseball players.
And baseball players.
So some of them.
Okay,
well,
we're cooked.
Not all of them.
Okay,
all right.
We're cooked. If you say Barry Bonds for MLB Power Pros, I'm leaving the room. Or any MLB game for that matter. That would be cruel and unusual punishment.
I have 3 for each of you and then a tiebreaker if needed.
All right.
Okay.
So, all right. I'm going to flip a coin here. Mac, how about you call heads or tails?
Tails.
It is heads.
Splash. Yeah. Bow down,
Would you
peasant.
like to go first or would you like to go second?
I would like to receive the kickoff.
All right, you're receiving the kickoff here. So we'll start out here with Super Mega Baseball 4.
Oh my goodness.
Is Daddy Dimmu TV a playable character?
Oh my god.
I'm going to say yes.
Oh yeah! Daddy Dimmu TV is 100% a player.
I need to download it. I got the first 3 I need to download for. I just don't play very often.
It's they added in a ton of YouTubers and Twitch streamers.
Yes, they did.
Daddy Dimmu TV added him
as
a catcher with like obscene power.
And they added MLB players, right? Like
they did add a lot of MLB players.
They did.
Ortiz is on the cover of it.
All right.
All right. So, Splash, you're up 1-0. Mac,
all right.
Your game is MLB Power Pros 2008. Is Greg Maddux a pitcher in the game that you can play as?
I believe Greg Maddux was an active player, so the answer is yes.
He is an active pitcher in the game
for his last year.
No.
Yep. All right, tied 1-1. Splash. Your game is The Bigs 2.
Oh my god.
Cooked. I'm so cooked.
Can you play as Edgar Martinez?
Okay. So obviously he wasn't an active player at the time. I'm going to say he was a legend in the game and you can play as Edgar.
That is correct. You can play as Edgar, but it's a little bit more nuanced than what you're saying about that. So in the Bigs 2, one of the story modes, in the story mode of it is you're trying to make the Hall of Fame, and then once you do make the Hall of Fame, you have to become the best around. While you're trying to make the Hall of Fame and get the Hall of Fame votes, you play as Edgar, or as a bunch of other Hall of Fame hopefuls at the time.
Okay.
And Edgar is on that team of Hall of Fame hopefuls.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah. If you've never tried the Bigs 2, you will learn so much about baseball just by playing. It goes about these amazing players throughout history.
I may have to. I wonder if I can get that for the Wii still.
It's definitely still a Wii game. You
Probably,
can play,
yeah.
I love it very much. Anyway, all right. Splash is up 2-1. Mac, it is on to you for Mario Superstar Baseball.
Oh, let's go.
Is your game.
So the GameCube version?
This is the GameCube version,
Okay.
yes. Wiggler is your character.
He is not in the GameCube version. I remember unlocking him, though, in Super Sluggers.
Correct. You are right on that one. Tied at 2.
I played that game a lot when I was younger. So.
All right. Splash, on to you for this one. Your game is Backyard Baseball 2001.
Oh, let's go.
Ken Griffey Jr. Is he playable in 2001?
Okay, so this would be I am going to say I'm just going to try to game this. I'm going to say no. I think you're giving me too many yeses. I'm going to say no.
That is incorrect. He is a playable character for the Cincinnati Reds.
Yeah, remember that 2001 came out in 2000, I'm pretty sure.
I'm cooked.
Yeah. All right. Mac,
GG,
for
boys,
the win. And I think you got this one personally here, as it is Mario Super Sluggers, the Wii version.
Let's go.
Yeah. Cranky Kong. Is he a playable character?
Cranky Kong. What even? No, Cranky Kong is not a player.
Mac, you have won today's trivia.
Come on.
So I was hoping to kind of bait you on this one a little bit. Cranky Kong again is the older, the old Kong here that technically was actually the DK from the original Jumpman games. But
I know Funky Kong is in the game.
Yeah, they added Funky Kong, they added Tiny Kong, as well as that, but no Cranky.
Diddy Kong?
Baby Donkey Kong.
Diddy Kong is in there, yeah, but he was also in the GameCube one, as was Dixie and Donkey Kong. All right, so
give us what the tiebreaker question.
Oh yeah, no, 100%. I'll give this for both of you because this is the most absurd one in my opinion. Nicktoons MLB. Patrick Star from SpongeBob SquarePants.
Come on,
is he a playable character?
Has to be, right?
Yeah, it has to be.
Yeah, he's a playable character.
Okay.
It's great.
Oh my.
There are some other really including
I've never played this game, so I don't know.
I've never. Oh my days.
Do you want to know something even funnier? It uses the exact same engine as the Bigs 2. It is played the exact same way.
I respect that.
Oh, 100%. I watched it, I think it was on a Not the Expert video a while back ago, and it was absolutely I felt like I was watching a fever dream. Because you can legitimately
it sounds like it.
Yeah, you can legitimately have Sandy Cheeks throwing a pitch to Ken Griffey Jr., and it is amazing.
That's
I've never wanted anything more in my life.
Oh my! I need to get a Wii U and then buy the Bigs and play it. I can stream it. Maybe
we can do it now.
Okay,
yeah, we can try.
That's my. Actually, I have a lot of. You know what? I'm screwed. So
it's fine. Anyway, all right. But that was our trivia again. Congratulations to Mac on your trivia victory.
Good job, Mac.
Here today. But now it is time, as we like to end every show, with the moment to ourselves where we talk about anything we want to. It does not have to be baseball related, but it absolutely can be. Splash, you're raising your hand. That can only assume that means you would like to go first.
Yes.
All right. Your time begins in 3, 2, 1, go.
This is going to be the spiciest take in the history of LAR baseball. I prefer 3 true outcome baseball to regular baseball. Why? Because I think of baseball in some ways like a combat sport, some ways like MMA or boxing, but I don't really like boxing. I don't like MMA. But the crux of the game is batter versus pitcher. And what can the batter and the pitcher do? They can control 3 things. They can control home runs, they can control walks and hit by pitches, and they can control strikeouts. To me, a home run is a win for the batter, a big win. A pitcher strikeout is a win for the pitcher, and a walk is a bit of a tie that goes to the batter and will face you next time, right? So I think bare bones baseball, that's the battle. That is the psyche battle. That is one-on-one. It is my stuff versus your stuff. It is my best swing versus your best curveball. And I think that's what makes baseball special. These little one-on-one matchups you have over and over and over again. So yeah, I love doubles. And when I watch the Braves, I want to see runs, like plural, and I don't want to see them strike out. But if I'm just watching as an average observer of a baseball game, like let's say it's Royals Padres, right? I want to see walks, good plate discipline. I want to see some strikeouts, and I want to see some home runs.
honestly completely understand that. Don't think I agree 100%, but I understand exactly what you mean by it. All right, Mac, would you like to go next, or would you like me to take it on?
I'll go next.
Sounds good. Your time begins in 3, 2, 1, go.
So I feel like this subject was unavoidable. Edwin Diaz has struggled badly the last, I'd say, 3 weeks. I'll say this much: I think he will snap out of it, but think we also got to remember he's kind of human. He did not pitch for a full year. He was apparently very emotional after his last outing where he blew a 4-run lead. He does not look right now. I think the right course of action for the Mets would be to, like they're doing right now, remove him from the closer's role for a little bit. Yes, you're paying him $20 million a year, more than any other reliever ever. But I think it'd be best for him pitch in low leverage situations for now, get his confidence back. Then you can try making him the closer right now, because clearly his stuff is not there. His fastball doesn't have much command. His sliders are pretty flat. It's getting hit very hard. It's painful to watch him struggle. Really, he's a guy who gives his all to his team. But I just want him to be at his best again. It'd be good for baseball, and I'm looking forward to seeing him rebound.
Yeah, I really want to see Edwin Diaz come back because I love him too. I mean, how can you not love Sugar Diaz?
Yeah, like I said, he's a really good teammate. Everyone loves him, and it's just like seeing him like have to explain himself after every bad outing is just painful.
Mm-hmm. I mean, I remember when he was traded from Sale to the Mets. I cried because I loved him so much. Like, he was such a good player, such a good teammate. I'll give one little small thing before I do my moment to myself. I will never ever forget the bet that Edwin Diaz had with Scott Service.
Oh my God, yeah.
If Edwin Diaz got to 50 saves, Service would get the same haircut as Edwin Diaz with like the bolt in the hair and all that. And he actually did it. And as soon as he got the save, he pointed right to the dugout, right in Service. And it was like, it's happening, buddy. It's happening. Legendary. All right. I'll start my time to myself in 3, 2, 1, begin. So the Mariners have a great problem at the moment here, and that is the shortstop issue. Right now, the shortstop has been something that Seattle has struggled with at times here, but it's always been known who is your shortstop. It's been J.P. Crawford. And right now, he is still the main shortstop for this team. But Dylan Moore has been absolutely on fire over the last few weeks. He has taken that shortstop position since JP got hurt and has been really running with it. He has gotten clutch base hits. He has been playing great defense. He has been running mad at this point, and I love to see it. But now JP Crawford looks like he's going to be coming back here during this series against the Yankees. He's already flown out to be with the team. I don't know when they're officially activating him. It's not today. They've already said that Demo is starting at shortstop. But what happens when he is healthy? What do you do now? Because you can't just stop playing Demo at this point, right? Because he has been on such a tear that you need to keep that bat as long as you have it. So what? Do you put him at first base and bench Ty, who has been figuring it out? Do you bench Rojas? Do you bench Urias? I think you bench Urias personally. But right now, it's a good problem to have too much talent, right? And to have players that are playing too well. But that is going to do it for us here today at Losses Above Replacement. Let us know what you thought about any of the takes that we have had today here. Make sure you go follow us on Twitter at LAR_baseball. You can also follow all of us on Twitter. You can follow me at the SportsGuy242. You can go follow Mac at Mathias_A_K. And you can go follow Splash at Mr. Splashman19. But from all of us here at Losses Above Replacement, we want to thank you all for listening. Have a great rest of your day. Stay safe. And I hope to see you all real soon. See ya.